Good evening and welcome once again to another edition of Reformed Studios Live. We are so glad that you tuned in. And no, there's nothing wrong with your laptop or mobile device. I know I'm sitting on this side and our guest is sitting on that side, and it looks like I'm the guest and he's the host, but trust me, we just decided to switch things up a bit. Okay, our media team in the background is always trying ways and means of improving our broadcast to you. So you're most welcome to today's edition. As always, please please subscribe, please share the link with someone out there that you know will definitely benefit from the ministry of Reformed Studios. And as always, we're so glad you tuned in. Do get in touch with your loved ones. Tell them, put it on your WhatsApp status. Tell them another interesting topic on Reformed Studios this evening. And so, as you may have seen on Facebook, our topic for today is guiding adolescents into adulthood. Guiding adolescents into adulthood. And we do have our guest here, Pastor Sakalunda. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
Indeed. And so today will be quite unique in the sense that today's topic actually has been covered by a book that Pastor Sakalunda and his wife have actually written, and the book is entitled Biblical Foundations for Life, an Adolescent's Guide into Adulthood, the Chokma Discipleship Pathway. All right, and I'm sure you're wondering, Chokma. We'll get into that. But in a nutshell, the book basically talks of helping your teenager navigate the journey to godly adulthood. Okay, and we all know that the journey from teenagehood into adulthood can be quite daunting. It's a daunting task for the teenager themselves, a daunting task for the parents as well. And so this book comes as a tool. And I will not get into the details, all right? We have our very able author himself who is here to help us answer those questions. So please do invite someone to tune in, especially if you know they have teenagers. They need to hear this. So guiding adolescents into adulthood is our topic. And as always, before we get into it, Pastor Sakalunda, perhaps you could just, for those who may be tuning in for the first time and do not know who Pastor Colin Sakalunda is, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah. No, thank you. Like I said, it's good to be here, and just extending greetings to the viewers that are joining us. I'm Collins Sakalunda.
Yes.
I am a husband, a father, a pastor,
yes,
a theological educator,
yes,
and also to proudly add,
yes,
an author.
Indeed.
I'm pastor at Minwood Ndeke Baptist Church in Minwood. I'm Minwood Ndeke near the airport. I teach at the Baptist Theological Seminary of Zambia, as well as also at African Christian University. As together with my wife, we just recently started a ministry that you have briefly alluded to. We're calling it Chokma Foundation, and basically, we have this particular burden to be able to provide a resource to families and churches and Christian schools on how they can disciple young people biblically, intentionally, as we help these young people transition from being children to actually becoming adults. So that's who I am.
Okay, so you're most welcome. And for our viewers, as always, please, we always value your questions, your comments, and please let them come through, even on this particular episode. Okay, so then, without much further ado, we can probably just get right into our discussion. And I know you've kind of touched a bit on the why behind the book, but perhaps what specific gap or, crisis among young people in Zambia and across Africa compelled you to write this book?
Yeah. I think that many of us, especially like you mentioned, parents who have teenagers and also churches that have youth ministries, children's ministries and youth ministries, you notice that we have a challenge. And the challenge that we have, it is the weakening of structures that God has provided that ordinarily need to be avenues that can be used to prepare our children and adolescents into adulthood. Many adolescents or many children that are actually approaching the age of puberty and maturing, and as they transition into adulthood, many of them, they pass through that stage without a deliberate biblical instruction that is both biblically and culturally relevant.
That's right.
And yet you have other institutions that are kind of putting pressure on our young people, providing them so-called solutions. Talk about social media, talk about peer pressure, talk about competing worldviews that in a way are kind of discipling our young people.
Indeed.
Without us as parents being deliberate about it and as churches being deliberate about it. So we wrote this book in order that our young people then can have something. Parents and young people can have something that can guide these young people into becoming adults. As you know, adolescent, it's not something that must be left unattended to. Or else then we will have a next generation of adults that don't really understand the responsibilities that come with maturity, the responsibilities that come with other stages of life that are ahead. And so it is with that background that we were able to write a book that can be used to form convictions, form character, and form habits that are good and of benefit for a godly adulthood.
Okay, thank you so much. Indeed, very crucial indeed, and like you said, definitely, it's important for every parent out there to be intentional about these things. And of course, I'm sure as you wrote the book as husband and wife, I'm sure there may have been certain leaves that you may have picked from your own experience. So, how did your own parenting journey with your wife and shared ministry, of course, shape the lessons in this book, in this guide?
Well, we are parents.
Yes.
We have 6 children, and 3 of them have already passed that stage. Our first is she's 20, our second is 18, our third is 15. So it is when they were reaching those stages. They are now maturing, they are becoming adults, and now you are thinking, okay, as they transition into adulthood, what do we say to them? How do we guide them through this process of adolescence so that then they can learn what it means to be a fruitful, an adult that can be respected in society. So it is out of that burden then that everything that we basically shared with our children, that we said, okay, it seems it's not only us that
Yes.
have that need. There are
Yes.
many parents out there. Ministry itself, being in ministry and being a pastor, you are also dealing with parents that
Yes.
have got teenage children, and also those teenage children are part of your church, and so you are thinking, okay, this is something that is not just us.
Yes,
it is of
yes.
benefit also to others. So why not then put it in form of a book so that it can widely be used by parents as well as our churches. So basically that's how our journey has been.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So, of course, the book is termed the Chokma Pathway.
Yes.
So, perhaps for those who may be unfamiliar with the term, what is the Chokma Pathway? And, of course, I know you've already sort of alluded to the importance of systematic discipleship.
Yes.
But maybe you can also touch on that a bit more. So, what is the Chokma Pathway, and why is systematic discipleship so vital for adolescents today?
Yeah, the name Chokma actually it's a Hebrew word for wisdom. It's a Hebrew word for wisdom.
Yes.
And in wisdom literature in the Bible, I mean we're talking about books like Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Songs of Songs.
Yes.
In Hebrew. In biblical wisdom literature,
yes.
the word chokma specifically talks about that skill to life, that skill given by God that can be used by anyone, and most especially the simple, the immature, the young people, used for them to navigate through the obstacles and challenges of life.
So like a practical wisdom.
Yes, like practical wisdom, a practical skill, the expertise that you can be able to look at life and the challenges that come, and you are able to find your way through those obstacles. So that's the word that is then translated as wisdom in our English Bibles.
Yes.
So that's where we borrow that word. And so what we call the Chokma discipleship pathway, it is basically a sequence of biblically structured lessons, intentionally put together to be able to help this young person through their crucial stages of life. Talk about foundationally salvation itself.
Yes.
Then 2, you are talking about puberty and preparation into adulthood. Then talk about courtship.
Yes.
And then premarital counseling or preparation for marriage. So that pathway, that discipleship pathway, then that helps them to be able to have answers in those crucial stages.
Yes.
That is what we are calling the Chokma discipleship pathways. It has 4 books. 4 books. 2 have been published so far.
All right.
And 2 still in the works. So the first one, which is book 1, is Look and Live. Look and Live, which is basically intended to guide adolescents into the gospel for them to understand salvation. And then book 2 is
the
what
one
we
we're
are talking about, the biblical foundation to life, intended to guide them through that process of adolescence. Book 3 is we're calling it the path to I Do, which is a guide to boy-girl relationships, and especially courtship.
Yes.
And then the last one, we are calling it Foundations of a Covenant Marriage, which is intended to prepare engaged couples to understand what marriage is as biblically taught. So together, all the 4 put together, that's what we are calling the Chokma discipleship pathway.
Wow. Very, 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 very interesting. And I guess it basically covers the pathway of life, isn't it? The pathway of life. And I remember, in fact, if you may recall, what sparked this discussion was when you last came and were talking about separation of church and state.
Yeah.
And I remember you mentioning, and we got into this conversation, you mentioned that the book was in the works.
Yes.
And I remember you mentioning, you made a statement that has stuck with me for your own info.
Yeah.
You said that so many are the times that children prepare for school, in the sense of life. 12 years at university plus another 4 at varsity. 12 years primary, secondary, and then varsity.
Yeah, primary and secondary.
Yes. And then finally, tertiary education. And then you said, and yet we leave issues of actual wisdom for growth to chance.
Yes.
And the like.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true because, I mean, if you think about it, yes. You first of all, you have those preschool years.
Yes.
And then you have the 12 years in primary and secondary school.
Yeah.
And then you have another 3 to 4 years of tertiary education. And all of that for a career.
Yes.
And yet we are forgetting the primary.
Yes.
The primary institution,
which is life.
Which is
marriage.
Life in the context of marriage. But basically even just life itself.
Yes.
I mean, life itself, apart from academics.
Yes.
And apart from vocational development.
Yeah.
Just life itself in terms of character and how I should be and the responsibilities that come with adulthood. Yeah. So it is from that angle then that we were able to develop this Chokma discipleship pathway. And if you notice, actually, it's systematic. And the reason is it's simple. Systematic discipleship matters.
Yes.
And why it matters is because growth is progressive.
Right.
When our children are reaching that age, 10, 11, 12, they are now transitioning into another stage, another phase of life.
So whatever little Bible study issues that were handled when they were younger, it phases into something else.
It phases into something else. Yes, the foundation has been laid, but then at that particular stage, they are now trying to find themselves.
Right.
Answering questions like, who am I?
Right.
Really, who am I?
Right.
And defining themselves. And therefore, there must be then a body of teaching that must help them be able to navigate through that and find answers.
Right.
At the same time as they are growing up, there is chemistry that is happening in their bodies. In their bodies, they are already admiring the opposite sex, and they are thinking, okay, perhaps I should have a girlfriend, I should have a boyfriend. But then they must answer the question, why? Why should I be in that relationship?
That's right.
So that's where a book like The Path to I Do comes in. It helps them to be able to understand that, look, a relationship is not just going into a relationship for the sake of having a relationship. It must be pointed towards a particular goal, and that particular goal is marriage.
That's right.
And by the time they are getting serious with this particular person, and they are thinking, okay, this is the one, and we must be now thinking about marriage. But okay, that's another stage.
Yes.
What's marriage?
Yes.
So that is why it's important to have such an approach, so that all the stages of life and the questions and needs and challenges that our young people will have, we have answers from the Bible.
Yes.
And we are able to provide those answers.
Okay. Thank you so much. You are watching Reform Studios Live. Our topic for today is guiding adolescents into adulthood, and we are with Pastor Colin Sakalunda, looking through the book that he has written, which speaks to our topic for today. We have a few comments on YouTube. I see Joe Chasonga saying, watching from Livingstone. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, our friends from Uganda, Isaac and Stella Twebaze, saying, watching from Kampala, Uganda. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do keep those comments coming in. Tell us where you're watching from. And also, if you have any questions, please ask, and Pastor Sakalunda will be able to handle those questions. Okay, so now you mentioned on the aspect of identity. Children reach that age where they begin asking themselves, who am I, and identity. So in terms of identity crisis.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Young people face a massive identity crisis. How does the book help a teenager ground their identity in the image of God? Rather than social media validation and things like that.
Yeah. And you know, I'm actually reminded of a story.
Yes.
And I must say that our educational system, unfortunately, has not helped.
Yes.
I remember a story that I heard. There was a child that was in a particular grade. I think it must have been 5 or 6. And so they were learning about evolution and the fact that the man came from apes and monkeys. And this young boy simply broke down in front of the teacher and simply says, "Look, me, I'm not from a monkey. Mom and dad and church, they've taught me that I'm created in the image of God." And the issue was so serious that finally they found themselves in the office of the headmaster or headmistress, because then they needed to answer that question.
Yes.
The book starts with identity in order to just emphasize to our young people that they derive, every one of us as human beings, we derive our identity from God.
Yes.
And not an identity that has been manufactured by social media, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or an identity that is determined by what others think about you. Every one of us, we possess a dignity, we possess a worth, we possess a personhood that has been designed by God. And that is important just for us to emphasize to our young people, so that even as they are growing up, even though they hear people call them names and it may be clear to them that, look, I am wonderfully and fearfully made in the image of God. And that's the very first verse that we use actually from the Psalms. But also much more for them to understand that even though we are created in the image of God, in the process of the development of mankind, that image was distorted through the disobedience of Adam and Eve. And that image of God can only be restored through Christ. And that's how Jesus Christ comes in as the second Adam. And so those are the two things that we emphasize. We are created in the image of God, and even though distorted through the fall, we find that restoration in the Lord Jesus Christ. So that our young people can really understand that sometimes social media and what they hear from friends and what they watch in movies, sometimes they give us a standard of personhood that are fake, that are fictitious.
And people start chasing after this thing that is not real.
But for them to really understand that the foundation is for them to go, it's for them to understand that this is how God has designed us, and even in the flaws that we see of humanity, we find our restoration in the Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay, that's a major one indeed for a lot of young people. And of course, moving in our discussion, and of course for our viewers, I think it's just giving an appreciation of what is in the book, and later at the end we will tell you where the book is available, so that you may get a copy for yourself and your teenager. And even if you don't have a teenager, your child will eventually become a teenager. Now, of course, we live in a dynamic of culture. And of course, we have viewers, as you know, the Trobazes watching from Uganda, as well as others. We have a few from South Africa and other parts of Africa. We all face a unique challenge of cultural pressures. How does biblical truth help a teenager navigate the tension between traditional African culture and modern Western secularism?
And I think one of the things that we emphasize is the fact that all of us, we have a structure of thought that we use to process everything that happens to us. That structure of thought is what we use to interpret reality and the world around us. So we call it a worldview. A worldview. And that worldview is actually shaped and influenced by other factors.
Yes.
For us in Africa, there are two main factors that would shape and influence our worldview. We have our own African traditional religion and culture.
Yes.
And then with the globalization, colonialism, we have then the Western secularization.
Yes.
But what the book does is simply to help young people that it's neither African traditional religion nor is it Western secularization that must shape our worldview, that must influence our worldview, that those lenses through which we are able to see reality, we must use the scripture.
Okay.
The Bible must be our lens through which we are able to see reality, understand reality, and interpret everything that is around us. And so basically that's the intention of the book. Because like I've given that example, you have you have a narrative where you are told, no, us as human beings are coming from apes.
Yes.
And we are coming from monkeys. So that's the narrative that is controlling that particular worldview.
Yes.
But we want to instill and inculcate a worldview in our young people that helps them to understand that, look, the lenses that you use to interpret everything that is around you and reality, it is scripture, it is what God says.
Yes, indeed. And as you were talking, I was just thinking to myself to say, in as much as, yes, we do have culture around us, but it's in a fallen world.
Yes.
And every culture has some positive aspects, it has some negative aspects, and those negative aspects come from the fact that we are in a fallen world, and one needs that biblical truth, like you said, to correctly view things. Indeed.
True.
So another aspect that, of course, tends to be tricky for parents, especially in certain African spaces, if not the whole of Africa, is issues to do with sexuality. I mean, it's in some cultures, it's actually taboo to even talk about these things with your parents and things like that. But like you said, if we are not intentional about these things, the culture around us, social media, will disciple our children in these areas. So then how does a parent, perhaps maybe, of course, with the help of the book, break the ice, with their teenager to have healthy gospel-centered conversations around purity, sexual purity and the like.
The book approaches the subject of sex and sexuality. Our approach is basically to demonstrate that this is part of God's good design for his creation, and especially us as human beings. So, it's not a subject that must attract shame. It's not a subject that must cause us to be ashamed about. It is part of God's design. And therefore, having that understanding, then, we simply present that subject in a way that is biblically clear, but also culturally sensitive. And age appropriate. Because, remember, we know that once our children are maturing, already there's chemistry that is happening in their body, changes that are happening, strange things that are happening, and they are now developing this strange feeling towards the opposite sex. And so if we don't address it, then we have a problem. But then you want to address it in a way that is biblical. Because then you are talking about it in a way that honors God. But also you want to talk about it in a way that is culturally sensitive. You are also mindful that at the age that they are, there is a way that we can discuss about this issue that doesn't begin to introduce strange ideas in, in their minds to tend to corrupt them. So those are the three factors that we've basically just combined. It's biblical teaching that is culturally relevant, as well as also age appropriate. So that then even as parents are engaging in a discussion with their children, they've also created a safe space and environment to be able to answer those questions that children are asking in a way that doesn't bring embarrassment on both the parent and the child as well, but at the same time they are able to honestly answer the questions that the child may be asking.
Crucial issues that parents can discuss with their children. And at least that offers a guide for them. All right, you're watching Reform Studios. We have Ella Hope Yenga who is saying hi. Thank you for letting us know you're watching via YouTube, and we're so happy that you've tuned in. Facebook, we have Adamson Sinyenga says following from within Lusaka. Thank you, Adamson, for tuning in. Then we have Chakwanda Muchengeti says following from India. Thank you so much. It says I'm watching from India. So please, if you do have questions, please post them. If you have any comment as we are discussing, do comment as well so that we can have a time of engagement even as we continue discussing guiding adolescents into adulthood. Now, talking about issues of digital media, and the mindsets that are governed by it. Of course, digital media has no borders. Whatever affects youths in Zambia also affects youths in other countries. How can parents guard their teens' minds against digital distractions?
I think number one, it's by combining two things, what we call biblical formation and practical oversight. By biblical formation, we mean, just like we earlier spoke about this, that in terms of instructing our children, our young people, we must begin early. And we basically use the Bible and demonstrate here are principles that you need to know, principles that you need to adhere to that can help you exercise discernment even in the digital world. At the same time as we provide that biblical formation, there is also practical oversight. What is it then as a parent that you do to kind of watch over the way our young people are using digital devices? I remember one of the things that we did for our children when they reached that stage when it became a necessity for them to have a smartphone, was that there was a mechanism that I would use to be able to monitor everything that they are doing. If there is an app that they want to install on the device, that smartphone will tell them, get permission from daddy, and I would be able to see that, so and so, or Benjamin or Karis or Zangi is trying to install this. So I will either say, okay, it's inappropriate, I reject, or I approve. But also just in the way that you create a domestic culture. Because there's a way in which digital devices can be used in a way that is way out of control. You can be seated in the living room, for example, and each one of you is on it
for hours on end.
So can we create a digital free zone? That perhaps during this particular time, it will be family time when we sit. No one is on a device. We are just seated as family
and talking
and chatting, or perhaps playing a game or something.
Yes.
That is what we mean. I make sure, for example, that when it is at this particular time, I know that I'll need to check on my boys.
Yes.
And then make sure they are actually sleeping.
Oh, yes.
Or if it is possible, I will say, okay, can you bring,
Yes.
if they were using my phone or they were using mom's tablet,
Yes.
or I'll say, okay, it's time to sleep, let me have it.
Yes.
That is what we are calling practical oversight.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of those. But also remember that children learn through unguided learning. They are also watching and observing how we are using those things.
That's right.
If mommy, when cooking in the kitchen, mommy is cooking, there is also a smartphone near and she's steering.
Yes.
The girls are watching. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So we can also do that.
Yeah.
Or if it is daddy, when he comes back from work, sits in the sitting room, is either on a laptop or on a phone, they are also watching. So it's about modeling. It's about modeling, providing an example on how we can be taking what we call digital Sabbaths, where you just say, okay, no phone, no laptop, no nothing. Here I am, I'm just seated and having some time with my wife or having some time with family. So it's about those things.
Yes.
And also just intended conversations.
Yes.
Intended conversations that are helped to our children, for them to see, look, social media is not an end in itself.
Yeah.
You know, these are just means, and we must not be mastered by them.
Yes.
They must be our slaves.
Yeah, it's a tool.
And yes, it's a tool, and so let's use it. I remember there's an organization that I got involved with. They would emphasize, there's an acronym that they use.
Yes.
GUTS.
Okay.
Do you have guts?
Yeah.
So it's godly use of technology and godly use of technologies.
Okay.
So it is having those discussions.
Yes.
Those discussions. So that is what would actually help.
Okay, very insightful indeed. In fact, as you were talking, I remember what someone once said. He said, when it comes to raising children, certain things are caught and not taught.
Yes.
The importance of modeling, like you said.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. All right. And of course, besides the issue of digital distractions, we all know the usual thing that a lot of young people go through, which is peer pressure.
Yeah.
And it's more intense, of course, as you mentioned, with the whole issue of online connectivity. You see what your friend is doing and all that, and you feel, oh, I'm missing out. And there's this whole issue of, I think someone said what? FOMO, FOM, or fear of missing out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently. So how does what you've written train a teenager's heart to seek God's approval over peer acceptance?
Yeah.
Because usually there's this pressure to say, no, if I don't do this, my friends will not see me as cool. If I don't have this, my friends will think I'm behind or backward or I'm not cool and things like that.
The principle we adopted really to define our approach, and especially as we address the challenges that our young people face. Every one of us, we could possibly be three things.
Yeah.
One, you can be what people say you are. And we use Gideon as an example. Remember Gideon, the angel appears to him.
Yes.
I'm paraphrasing. Greetings, mighty warrior.
Yes.
And Gideon says, but how can I be? I'm from
the least
in the list of the tribes, and even my clan is the least.
Yes.
So in other words, this is what people are saying about me.
Yes.
But also you can be what you think. Okay, because that's what people say you are, and you begin to think, oh, okay, I'm that way. Or sometimes you can be delusional and deceive yourself into thinking of yourself about what you are not.
Yeah.
Okay. But what is important is to listen to what God says you are.
Right.
And that's the approach that we use in the book. It's not about what people say about who you are from social media or friends, but it is what God says you are, because God's voice and his definition of me it matters more than what everyone else will say about me, and so that is the approach that we have used. And so us as parents then we have a primary responsibility to be able to guide our children.
Yes.
But not only us as parents, churches as well as those of us who find ourselves in situations where you are mentoring other people's children because of the nature of the work that you're doing.
Yes.
That is important for us to help our young people to understand that, look, people will say this about you, or sometimes you may be tempted to think this way about yourself. But what is important is what God says about you. So that young person recognizes that the voice that must shape me is the voice of God.
Yeah.
Because it is truthful.
Yes.
It is trustworthy.
Yes.
And it comes from the designer himself, who knows best.
Yeah.
Who knows me best, because he created me for a purpose.
Yeah, and I guess it points back to what you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
That I'm created in the image of God.
Yes.
You know, and that in and of itself brings a certain sense of self-worth. That we're created in His image.
Oh yeah. True.
Yeah. All right. So before we move our discussion to talking about issues of the future and planning, a few questions online.
Yeah.
Whilst we're still on the topic of peer pressure.
Yeah.
And social media influence and the like. Adamson Sinyenga on Facebook says, Pastor, say something about the music they listen to and the so-called vibes. Okay, the so-called vibes. Yeah. Because of course music does have an influence, and like you mentioned, the issue of having this false image, I could cross the ocean for you, and a certain view of women, certain view of men, based on the music.
No, actually, it's an influence that has several factors in it. It's not just social media. Actually, maybe more comprehensively we would call it technology and media.
Right.
Because technology, we are talking about internet, and social media now, and other platforms that have come with the internet.
Yes.
You also now have artificial intelligence coming in.
Oh, yes, that's a big one.
Yes. And then you also now have media. You are talking about electronic.
Yes.
You're talking about music. You're talking about movies.
Streaming,
and etc. etc. So it's a combination of factors. I remember those days when we were in our teenage years and transitioning into young people, becoming young people. I remember there used to be a group called Crisscross.
Oh, yes.
I think you may remember them. Crisscross, who would put on jeans the other way around. The back pockets are in the front.
In the front,
And the zip is at the back. And you can imagine a young boy in Lusaka, Zambia, watches that, and that's what we want to dress as well.
Yes. We want to talk like them.
Talk like them.
Talk to girls.
Talk to girls
that
like
way.
that. Yeah. All those are influences that we are talking about. But I think this is where it becomes crucial for us as parents, because if we are not providing that that practical oversight that we have talked about, that parental oversight, just know that if you are not doing it, someone else is doing it for you. And that someone else is what we have talked about, technology and media. So it is guarding our young people against all those factors.
Yeah.
We were laughing one time at our dinner table.
Yes.
Our son, our third born Benjamin is at Nali Boys, and we noticed as he was speaking, addressing his young brother, he would say Mwaiche, 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 Mwaiche. So we said, okay, where is that coming from?
For our international viewers, that means youngster.
Youngster.
Yeah.
Well, it's simply because look, he's already picking it.
Yeah, an influence.
Yes, there's already an influence that
from school.
From school. So that's what we are saying. So if you're not deliberate about it, someone else is discipling your children, and by the time that we wake up, it becomes too late.
Yeah, and I think, like you have said, the issue of oversight. Basically, I mean, if I hear what you're saying, the parent should take an interest in the child's life. What is this child watching? You know, as a parent, what are your favorites? What music do you listen to? You know, as a conversation, and just to also see where they're at. I remember one time a parent was talking about, in conversation, they say, kids of nowadays, they're watching this and that. They're always talking about this program, that program. Yeah. And the things that they were talking about, because of the nature of the business my wife and I are involved in, we are aware of what those cartoons are. But why are your children watching that? What do you mean? So just Google it. Take your phone and Google what that thing is. What? Is this what it is? So taking that interest. Huh?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. There was a cartoon, I think, that made headways. I think. Anyway, maybe let me not go there. I think the point is simply that us as parents, I think let's take an interest to basically provide that oversight that our children need.
All right. All right. Then we have a couple of questions before we move our conversation to talking about future things.
Yeah.
This is Namundina. Oh, okay. You know how it. Excuse me. YouTube combines first names and last names. Yeah. So this is Namundi, who says, give an example of how to talk to adolescents without corrupting their mind. I think she's talking about issues of talking about sexual purity.
Yes.
So she said, could you give an example of how to talk to them without corrupting their mind?
Yeah. So maybe I can just read a few, not the whole paragraph.
Of course.
But I can read just one or two paragraphs from our book.
From our book, yes.
So this is in module 2 that talks about my body.
Okay.
The temple of the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
And the very first lesson under that is understanding your body as, or maybe let me choose this one. Choosing purity. That's on page 39. So so that you can just have an idea of what. So it says, my child, amongst the greatest ways you honor God with your body is by walking in purity.
Okay.
The Bible says this is the will of God, your sanctification, that you abstain from sexual immorality, that each of you know how to control his own body in holiness and honor. Purity is not about denying pleasure. It's about protecting purpose. God designed your body and its desires for good to be expressed one day within the covenant of marriage, not in secret sin.
Okay.
So it's language like that.
Yeah.
It's language like that.
Yeah.
So you can see we've already talked about sex.
Yes.
We've already talked about the body and feelings.
Yes.
But notice the way, the language and vocabulary that we have chosen to.
Yeah.
With time, I would have read another one where it talks about how to then relate with the opposite sex.
Yes.
So
boundaries and everything.
Yes, boundaries. So it's basically just finding appropriate words that you can use to communicate same ideas, but in a way that is less embarrassing,
Yes.
but more honoring and more respectful.
Yeah, and I guess I think, like you already mentioned earlier, the book provides an opportunity to start conversations in this light.
Yes,
and
yes.
also as a tool for the parent, but I guess it doesn't replace that responsibility of the parent still sitting and handling the questions that come out of that discussion. But the good news is the discussion has begun.
Has begun, yes, true.
Okay,
true.
And then we have Travis Manasseh, okay, who says, good evening. Are we suggesting that everyone has their own individual worldview? Because you talked about how that, there's a worldview that influences how we, and we want to have a biblical worldview. So Travis Manasseh is asking, good evening. Are we suggesting that everyone has their own individual worldview?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what factors are influencing you, first of all, depending on the environment that you've grown up, where you are coming from, and also your exposure, you will. I mean, first of all, every one of us has a worldview, whether you like it or not. But then that worldview will differ from one person to another, depending on our background, where we are coming from, and what things we are exposed to. Now, the hope of this book is to bring us all to a worldview that is influenced by one authority.
Okay.
And that one authority is Scripture. So if I will have a worldview that is influenced by Scripture, and then person B, person C, person D also have a worldview that is influenced by Scripture, we will then begin to look at the world and reality the same way. So that then we can be speaking the same language, we can be speaking at the same wavelength, as they would say. But at the moment, if that deliberate formation isn't, then you have a challenge, because each one of us comes with a particular worldview, and that's where you have conflicts. You have conflicts because all of us are looking at one particular aspect, but with different sets of lenses.
And I think it's crucial for young people because, like you said earlier, they're trying to find their identity, and as they go and progress in life and are exposed to an education system, worse off when they go to university and exposed to other types of philosophies, you would rather have a situation where a child is crying in class, like the example you gave earlier, of saying, wait a minute, I did not come from an ape, I came from, God created me.
Yes, true.
So, very interesting. Okay. So we also have Grace Katilungu Chama.
Oh, okay.
That's my mother. Watching from Lusaka, she says, this is a very important and educational topic on adolescence. Thank you for sharing, and God bless you. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
We thank you for the support in watching. All right. Please keep those questions coming. We really appreciate your input, and it just helps us also be able to discuss things even in a relevant manner based on whatever it is that you are facing. Okay, so now, in terms of preparing for the future, okay, we do realize that we live in economies, and those are realities, and they vary across Africa and the world. Are there any foundational financial principles that you teach teens in the book to prepare them for an uncertain, economic climate and financial future?
We actually have a module that is dedicated to that, a number of chapters that are dedicated to that. But as you read our book, you notice that one of the very first things that we emphasize in regard to the future and preparation is the fact that everything under the sun belongs to God.
Right.
Everything belongs to God. And whatever that we have, be it time, be it our bodies, be it our abilities and resources, they are simply a trust to us by God. And since they are a trust to us from God, we don't own them. We must therefore administer those things in a way that glorifies Him.
Right.
So that's the principle of stewardship that we basically use. Everything belongs to God, and whatever we have is a trust, and therefore we must then administer or administrate those things according to the will and purpose of God.
Right.
And therefore, with that foundational principle, then our young people must learn that work is also a gift from God.
Right.
And because it's a
Right.
gift from
Right.
God, they must work diligently,
Right.
plan wisely, and ensure that when they are earning a living, they are using means that are honest,
Right.
and means that are characterized by integrity.
Right.
But also that whatever they are earning, they are spending wisely and responsibly, and also learning that sometimes, I mean, not every, that it is important that when you have something, you also need to keep seed for the next season.
Yeah.
So we are talking about principles of investment and saving. But also not forgetting principles of being generous,
Right.
towards others, because that's the way God teaches us. That's the way our way of life should be. But also to just be content. I think sometimes it's because of a lack of contentment that pushes many of our young people
Yes.
into problems.
Yes.
Either you want to get rich quick, or
Yeah.
you want to have a lot of money in order to match up a life that is exaggerated
And then people end up in
extravagant
debt.
that you see on social media. So I think the principles of being content are important, and those skills of planning. Those skills of planning and developing, all those Scripture provides us.
Yes.
Scripture provides us in what we have mentioned in Chokma.
Yeah.
So seasons may change, governments may change,
Yes.
economies may change, but the principles that God provides us do not change.
Yeah.
And I think what is important is for us to have trust, to anchor our hope and our faith in this God who can sometimes even work against odds in order to meet the needs and challenges of His people.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. So in one other area that young people struggle with, many youths, in terms of the future, is some youths, some young people, teenagers, they dread entering adulthood because of fear or lack of direction. Yeah. So then how does the curriculum, the book, speak to that? How does it build hope and a sense of divine purpose in an adolescent?
Yeah, I think it is simply to point them away from some of these pressures and factors that have tended to provide an influence on them, and point them to God, who created them first of all, and because He created them, He is the one who owns, He is master of their lives, and therefore He can be able to direct their steps. But also He is the one who rules and governs the future. I mean, in theology we talk about the providence of God. He is the one who governs all events of history to a conclusion that He Himself has purposed and desired. And not only is He their creator and ruler of their future, but He calls them. He calls them to live a life that glorifies them.
Yes.
And so it is pointing them to this God that actually helps, so that then our young people can understand that adulthood is not simply about finding a job.
Right.
and earning money and gaining a social status.
Yeah.
Adulthood is about becoming a responsible person, a person that must be respected in society, and also a person that lives this life in a fruitful and productive way, honoring God.
Right.
I think that is the way that we have structured this. So it's basically providing you with the wisdom that in every stage of life that you pass through and the challenges that you come across,
Yes.
Scripture has guidance. Scripture has answers.
That's right.
And we have simply condensed them in a book
Yeah.
to address those specific needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. You are watching Reform Studios Live. We are discussing the topic guiding adolescents into adulthood, and our guest, Pastor Colin Sakalunda, has co-authored a book with his wife titled Biblical Foundations for Life, an Adolescent's Guide into Adulthood, the Chokma Discipleship Pathway, Book 2. Okay, and of course, Chokma is a Hebrew word for wisdom, practical wisdom, and this is what we're discussing here today.
Yes.
All right, so then, as we are getting close to the end, from an implementation side of, someone buys the book and they are wondering to themselves, so is the book meant for independent reading by my teenager, or is it best used as an interactive tool between me, the parent, and the child? What would you say to that?
We have designed the book in such a way that a teenager or an adolescent can be able to read it independently. The language vocabulary is simple. They can be able to read it through, but also designed it to be a resource that a parent can then use to talk to their child, prompt a discussion, and be able to solicit questions. So it is designed for both way. It is designed for both ways. An adolescent can read on their own, but also parents can use it as a talking point with their child. But we advise that parents can use it as a talking tool to their children, because then if a child reaches a point where they have a question or they want to seek clarification, then the parent can be able to answer and provide that guidance.
And I guess it's a good tool even for family worship time.
Yes. For family devotion and family worship, yes, like you've said, it is an excellent tool.
Okay. So then, for pastors and church leaders watching who lead youth ministries, how can they successfully integrate biblical foundations for life into their church's youth ministries? I'm guessing to some extent you have used it, of course, for your family. So how would they go about integrating it?
Well, actually, it's our prayer. I mean, God has used us, and we are humbled that God is able to use us that way, that we can make a contribution to His kingdom. So our prayer is actually that pastors and church leaders would adopt this curriculum as a structured program that they can use for their youth classes, for their discipleship groups, mentorship programs, camps, and even parents, adolescents seminars, you can use them. And graciously, actually, African Christian University for their mentorship program for those who are in a gap year program that we call the Scholars Program, they're actually using this as a guide for mentorship.
Yes.
And so our hope is that many more churches, many more leaders can adopt this and use it. And remember, it's comprehensive in the way that designed. This is just book 2. There is book 1, which introduces adolescents to the gospel and salvation.
Yes.
Then there is book 2 that addresses puberty and adolescence.
Yeah.
There's book 3 that addresses another need where there is a lot of confusion, we must say, courtship and relationships.
Yeah.
And then there's book 4 also that is necessary to prepare young couples that are looking forward to marriage. So it's our prayer that churches can adopt this.
Yes.
But also, people out there that would be interested to partner with us.
Yes.
And simply say, okay, we can partner with you to sponsor a book or 2 for, I got a call. I got a call from someone who, I think they were calling from Mumbwa. They said, look, I don't have money to buy that book, but I would like to have a copy, And so I'm thinking, okay, there's a cost to it that we need to recover for publication, but you have such needs, So people can come on board and say, okay, we can sponsor 1 or 2 books, we can sponsor 10, we can sponsor 100, so that people like those who are unable to, who are financially challenged and are not able to buy it, can easily be given a free copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for those insights, and thank you to our viewers for having tuned in and watched. So, in terms of closing thoughts. Because we're actually out of time. Believe it or not, an hour has flown by.
Yeah.
What is the ultimate prayer that you have for every young person who completes this discipleship journey?
I think the Chokma, we call it the Chokma vision.
Yeah.
The Chokma vision is to have a young person in Zambia that is responsible.
Yeah.
A young person that is productive and fruitful, much more a young person that lives a life that honors God.
Right.
That is our prayer. If one day I could meet even just one such adult, and they would say, I am what I am today because of how God used you through your book. That would make my wife and I very very happy.
Okay.
So that's our prayer.
Awesome. Awesome. And of course, I'm sure everyone is now waiting for, the question that everyone is on everyone's minds, So for our viewers watching both within Zambia and outside Zambia, how can they purchase copies of the book or partner with your ministry? Let's first of all start with copies of the book. Where are the books available?
Yes. So first of all, the book is live on Amazon Kindle.
Okay.
So they can buy the Kindle or electronic version on Amazon. So that's, in fact, for the international community, both the electronic version, the paperback, and hardcover, they can actually buy directly through
Amazon.com. Okay.
For those locally in Zambia, I think by next week, the book will be stocked by Bookworld. So they can find a copy in Bookworld. Those that may not be able to can simply just get in touch with us, and we can make a copy available. And please, this book specifically was intended to be launched alongside a camp that we called MAP. A MAP was simply an acronym for Mwana Akula. In Nyanja, my child has grown.
Okay.
And that was a camp that is intended to be an annual conference that young people can come and we can take them through this so that even when they go back home they have a resource that parents then can pick it up and follow. And that camp has failed to take off because of lack of sponsorship. I mean, gladly ShopRite was able to come along and sponsored part of it, but we were not able to do the program because we were still short of a budget. So we are hoping that more partners can come on board actually and be able to sponsor either the camp itself or sponsor the publication of more books. Others you can come in and say, no, we can distribute, so that then the gift that God has given us, and especially to address challenges that adolescents and youths are going through, that resource can be in the hands of parents, church leaders, as well as the adolescents themselves. Okay.
So is there an email that people can reach you at, or?
Yes, they can use my personal email at the moment, Sakalunda. It's easy, just sakalunda@gmail.com.
Sakalunda@gmail.com. Okay. Of course, you've seen the spelling of the name in the description of the video.
Sakalunda@gmail.com. It's all in the lower case.
All right.
In terms of WhatsApp and mobile, they can get in touch with me on 0977 749259. 0977 749259.
All right.
And we can find a way of sending the book to them.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That wraps it up. And of course, the book is titled Biblical Foundations for Life, an Adolescent's Guide into Adulthood, the Chokma Discipleship Pathway, Book 2. So it's Book 2 that's available right now.
So Book 2 is available physically. Book 1 is available on Kindle.
Okay, Amazon.
On Amazon,
All
yes.
Right.
So not yet printed here in Zambia.
Okay.
Cost constraints, as
yes.
you put it.
Yes.
But this one is readily available. And I think as the Lord blesses, Book 2 as well, Book 1 will be available, and as we publish 3 and 4 as well, because we would like them to be sold, to be distributed and to be used as a set.
Right.
So that then parents, youth ministries, churches, they will have a comprehensive curriculum that they can use to take through the young people through the critical stages of life.
Okay, so Book 3 is on courtship. That one is yet to be produced.
To be published, yes.
Okay, and Book 4 is on premarital counseling.
And premarital counseling,
yet to
preparation for marriage.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. We hope and pray that our topic for today, Guiding Adolescents into Adulthood, has been a blessing to you. Once again, thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for letting us know that you tuned in. As always, even after our live stream is done, which is now, you will still have access to this particular live stream, the video, as a pre-record, anyway, the media people will help me. Pre-recorded, post-recorded, Richard behind the scenes. It will be there online as a video, all right, on YouTube especially. So you can still share the link to the video with your loved ones, with your friends, and say, hey, you missed out on the live stream. Please catch up. Here's the link to the video, and they'll be able to watch and also be blessed. And as you have been blessed, and I have been blessed as we have watched through this particular episode of Guiding Adolescents into Adulthood. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please tune in next Wednesday as we discuss another interesting topic. Be on the lookout on Facebook. Be on the lookout as we will be letting you know, hopefully by the weekend, what the topic will be for next week. Pastor Sakalunda, thank you so much for coming through.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to be here. Apologies, we couldn't be together with my wife because of domestic challenges.
All right.
But we appreciate the opportunity to come and discuss matters that pertain to our adolescents.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to Book 3 and 4.
Indeed.
We'll call you once again to talk around those issues. On behalf of Pastor Sakalunda and myself, thank you so much for tuning in. It's good night and God bless from Reform Studios, rooted in truth and relevant in life. God bless you.
Good night.